Daryl, you own that seat. The hot seat. And of course, to the right of your screen, we've got Natasha Alquiros-Dato. How's it going, everybody? And as always, we're back tonight to break down another weekend of PFL action, as well as to preview what's been going down, of course, in this weekend. Of course, we did get to see some Philippines Football League action, and this episode will be the last. It's the last match weekend for the year, of course. So it's been quite a year, quite a season. I mean, we're not even halfway, but of course, we gotta stop because there's the SEA Games break, Christmas break, you name it. What do you guys think, Jegs?
I'm gonna miss PFL action.
Magsesepangs ka, no?
Alam ko may year-end pa tayo. All up.
Tingnan natin. Di pa sure.
Uy, may interference from Direct. We have some news.
To round it up also.
Oo nga pala. Tapos magta-top 10 plays pa.
Ganon.
Goals, saves, you name it. Not plays. Goals, saves. Yeah. For the year. But anyway, let's get to it. We'd like to thank our partner who's been with us this year. First kick-off savings with this football season. Visit the link in the description or scan the QR code on your screens for special discounts. As always, Thirst is the Philippines' only beverage marketplace, and download the Thirst app today wherever you get your apps. And to open this episode, we want to first and foremost invite everyone to support the ongoing FIFA Women's Futsal World Cup. And Team Philippines will have their last game because unfortunately Filipino 5 do not have a mathematical chance to advance to the knockout stages. But that next game will be tomorrow on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. The full tournament is from November 21 to December 7. Venue, of course, for all games will be the Phil Sports Arena in Pasig City. First, that's pretty cool watching futsal. I watched twice. I said, hanggang doon lang, but I still want to go again. Ikaw, Natasha, you got to catch some games. I saw you right there.
I watched both games and I'll be there tomorrow for sure as well. You know, the women's national futsal team, the first game, sakit. Ang sakit.
Super.
6-0, medyo masakit yun. And so coming into that second game day, you're like, you know, I'm just here to support. And they just turned things around. They didn't get the win,
It's
but
there.
they showed us the fight. Diba? So I feel that they deserve all our support in their last game.
Of course, it's not every day you get to have a World Cup right here in the Philippines. You're going to watch that game tomorrow, Jago, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for sure for both games because the tickets they allow you to watch for the whole day, which is one of the big benefits of getting tickets. But I was just Team TV for the first two games, but nevertheless that didn't stop me from shouting when Inday scored that free kick. What a free kick that was! But yeah, what a moment it was when the Philippines took 2 goals against Morocco. It was a really proud moment for us.
I won't be there in that game, so first time I'll miss a game. I watched the first 2. Ayan, FOMO or Sipangs. Yan mangyayari because I'm not there. But let's get on to the PFL with the games last weekend. We opened things with Stalin Laguna taking an 8-0 dub over Don Bosco Garelli. And Philippine Army did fall to Cebu 5-0. Kaya did fall to DIGGER 2-0. I had to double check that, of course. Yeah, di pa ako sanay. Aguilas UMAC defeated Valenzuela PB Menjola 7-1, and Owantagig FC did defeat Toloy 10-0. Let's get to it first, of course, in detail. Garelli versus Stalin. Natasha, you called that game with Jago, right?
Yep. It was a very one-sided affair. You'd say that the first 5-10 minutes were few moments that Garelli could have taken advantage of early opportunities, but Stallion meant business from the get-go, and the attacking threats all together, they really were just a class above as compared to Garelli with the likes of Galeana, Kedman, McDaniel, and of course Schrock controlling that midfielder, creating the plays, creating the pass before the pass. So it was a great attacking plays all throughout. From set piece opportunities, to open play, they were able to score every time.
Stalin just grabbing that, of course, from the get-go when it comes to control. Philippine Army did fall to Cebu FC You covered that game, Diego? But first, how many times did Finn McDaniel go? Yeah. Did he count?
5, I think.
Every time he scored,
Yeah,
he
every
did
time
it.
he scored.
All right.
And
Anyway,
to make it to
let's
the top
get to it.
6,
That's
we'll explain
Cebu
why
FC
again. But here's that
versus-
lineup, Glenn, of
versus
Coach
Philippine
Jay
Army.
Shan,
That's
Sob
right.
Muescan.
Yeah,
They are
I
carrying
called
on.
this game with Jing, and actually, it's a scoreline that you would have expected before the game had started. But it was actually, for the first half at least, it was a close game. At halftime,
Seeing
it was
this kit
only
and
1-0.
the proceeds will go
And
towards
there
the
was a point
Typhoon
actually
victims.
when
So
it
it's a
was
nice
0-0,
cause gunning
biggest
for the
chance of
PFL
game
title.
up to a certain
Meanwhile,
point
Cebu on
actually
the other
fell
hand,
to
it's a
Army. So there was a little bit of uncertainty in this game. Eventually, Cebu just continued business as usual. But there was a little bit of a chance for Army maybe to get on the score sheet once or twice in this game. It was a very heavily rotated Cebu squad. Obviously, they have a lot to play for, not just in the PFL. I think next week they'll have that home game in the Shopee Cup. So a lot of rotation is being done as early as last weekend. So that was maybe why they started a little bit slowly against Philippine Army. But in the end, in the second half, they just went full throttle and as expected. And they put themselves now in a really good position in the PFL table.
Yeah, and in that game, actually, Cebu did wear a special kit, and the proceeds there are going to the typhoon victims, right? As Sir Giorgio Partosa did say, he did design the kit, of course. So, hope you guys get to help them out and support. Last game on Saturday, Digger defeated Kaya 2-0. Quite a game, if you ask me. That could have gone either way, but we know Kaya very strong, of course, in the local league. That's not really an upset, right, Natasha? Kahit may konting gulat ako.
I don't think it's an upset. I think that these are two teams that are at par with one another. And coming to this game, it really could have gone either way. But when the game actually happened, it was really Manila Digger that set the tone. Throughout the match, Manila Digger set the tone. They were the more aggressive side, created more dangerous chances all throughout. But even defensively as well, the goalkeeper, MG, didn't really have to do much because the defensive line, they were blocking every chance that the Kaya attacking players tried to shoot on target, but it would never even reach the goal or the goalkeeper. That's just how strong they were defensively. It was so organized from Manila Digger. When it came to defense, they all just made the switch. Everyone would run back, and everyone knew their duties. And then quickly, on a counter-attack in transition, they really took advantage of all their speedy players.
Not to take anything away from Manila Digger, right? Parang di pa ako sanay that it's not Kaya dictating the pace of the game. So, it's a bit of the, is this really what I'm seeing? I'm not taking anything away, of course. Congratulations to Manila Digger. That was the battle of the PFL representatives, Diego.
Yeah.
Digger and Kaya playing in the AFC. Digger in the Challenge League, Kaya in AFC Champions League too, right? We expected quality football in that game. I'd still say it was a good one.
Yeah, a really fun game to watch. Again, it's the two teams that finished first and second respectively last season, and they only finished a point apart, which is
Exactly.
completely crazy over the course of an entire league. So a little bit of revenge from Manila Digger. Of course, they're gonna still want more revenge. By the best way to do that, obviously, would be by taking the PFL title itself. But they were really good this game, firing on all cylinders. Their mentality and their, not just mentality, but their tactical aspect of their game as well, really good. I think for Kaya, what might be disappointing was how easily the two goals actually happened from their perspective. First one is a really good goal. Second one also is a goal of a counter-attack, I believe it was. But I think Kaya would have felt that they could have done better in those two moments. And obviously, football is a game of moments. If you do better in those two moments, game's completely different. But they might also be concerned that they were lacking a little bit of firepower up front in terms of actually testing the goalkeeper, getting shots on target. Because we see more from them usually. I do think that it is a bit of a indicator that this title race is going to be really even down to the wire, because we're seeing obviously the defending champions, their second loss already in the season. I believe that's as many or even more than how many they lost last season. I'm sure you would have a better idea of that, but it is going to be an indicator that this is going to be anyone's championship this year.
Now, another thing that we should add as well was not Manila Digger, they showed up on the pitch, but also the fans showed up for them. And I think that that's such a good indicator. They made a hostile environment. It was so hostile that one fan got kicked out of the stadium. You know, do I agree with what he did? Hell no. But do I love how passionate the fans are, or that they created an environment that was a bit intimidating, causing all this trouble? Yes, because that's what you want. You want your fans to show up for you. You want them to be passionate to a certain degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got you. Don't worry. Not that you're promoting
I do not
it, diba?
promote what
Yeah.
he did, but I appreciate that Manila Diggers brought their fans out there. That a lot of the people on the stands, a lot of the ones that were really cheering that you could hear from the audio, it was mostly Manila Digger fans. And when the fans show up, you have that extra motivation as a player to play even harder, to play at higher energy, to really get back up. When you look at that stands and it's full and there's everyone backing you up. And so they brought it on the sideline and on the pitch.
And just speaking for like us all as commentators, when there's a vibe like that, it's amazing, right? It's amazing. It's always fun. And that atmosphere you're talking about with Manila Digger, they also brought that intensity, I will say, to Binyan last PFL season. So they're bringing that out, and we are only in the first round. What more in the second round? What more in the third round, right? So 3 games last Saturday. Are you guys surprised? 3 clean sheets?
Oo nga pala.
Right,
I'll be
right.
surprised with the third one. You know, I thought that Kaya would eventually get a goal in there. But yeah, it wasn't their day, especially in the players up on top. Even when they did make the substitutions, you thought that they could help change the pace of the game. They did, but only for a couple of minutes, but then it fizzled out eventually.
So there you go. We have a comment to read right here. Yeah?
Read the name.
This one, right?
Yeah.
Kiki O2 THC.
It's probably
Baka password niya.
C.
Just kidding.
I think this is one of the transfer market contributors.
Yeah, one of our guys.
Yeah.
Woo! Transfer mark, let's go! Anyway, a comment, of course, of our friend. Oh, Kiki, yeah. I remember. The local players of Digger were questioned by Jing because they didn't play last Challenge League, only for players like Barcenilia to outplay.
sound better than I do. Check. Jeggo sounds clearer on my headphones than I do to myself. Check, 1, 2. It sounds a little bit better. Thank you. Uy, bago to ah. Jesus Abogado. Guys, wala kaming ano. afternoon and welcome to the Philippines Football League 2025-26 season. It is the final weekend of matches of 2025, and we've got a great one on our hands between Philippine Army and Manila Digger here at the Rizal Memorial Stadium. Jingham Lang and Diego Cordero calling the action for this one. A great atmosphere actually for football, not a lot of wind, not a lot of humidity, and a bit of an overcast day that we are enjoying as we take a look at our officials today. It's going to be Jesus Abogado taking charge in the middle, to be assisted by Hamid Pasion and Keith Nanyola, and Raymar De Los Santos is going to be helping out from the sideline. Meanwhile, Philippine Army coming from a respectable result against Cebu. They're going to need to keep things tight and counter quickly, similar to how they did against Cebu, that allowed them to really be competitive actually for a large part of that match. Diego, what do you see in their lineup here that Coach Ronel Hiner has put out?
It's a similar lineup that they played last week against Cebu, and like you said yourself, Jing, they actually kept it tight, especially in the first half. They had a really good chance to take the lead, and they defended resolutely. In the end, the goals that they conceded were actually momentarily lapses of concentration. But other than those lapses, they actually performed well in the first 60 to 70 minutes of that half. Eventually, of course, they just faded away. But they had a good match last week, and they want to repeat that this weekend.
Manila Digger trying to build on the momentum of defeating the defending champions. They're going to be looking at all-out attack against Philippine Army, and it's important that they arrive with numbers in the box if they are going to make it happen. There's a few changes in the squad, as you can expect. There's a bit of rotation for Coach Kim Versales and Bas Liu.
Yeah, they've played a lot of games in the last few months, of course, coming off that Challenge League campaign, and then last week they beat Kaya. So they've had a really good year. They're the only team in the PFL still yet to lose a match, which is really impressive. And they have a really deep squad to do just that, to go all the way in chasing for a PFL title. We're seeing a rotated but nonetheless high-quality team right now.
Quite a few players uneligible for this one. No Pa Usman Guy, no Juf, no Sambu for them. Their usual man on the sideline as well, Coach Bas Liu, is unavailable for this game as he did receive a red card in their last outing. There's also no Taninko, no Clarino, and no Schaffner for them. So quite a few missing players, and many key players at that as well. But still, testament to this Manila Digger side, it is quite a formidable roster that they still have available to them. They're sending it out wide to Shermar Filonco. Limbo. Shioka trying to keep the attack alive here. That's going to be offside, the first one of the game. This is actually an area that Coach Ronel Hiner has spotted as going to be a crucial battle to be won. As we already saw Filonco and Limbo trying to utilize the wings to great effect here for Manila Digger. Digger probing, had it poked away. That's the second time that Army have given it away rather cheaply inside their own half. Will they be made to pay for these errors?
It's a good start from Manila Digger, good possession, high up the pitch in the final third of their opponents. Interesting that Filonco is going to continue his role as a left back going into this match.
Without Schaffner, no Taninko as well. And it is going to be the opening goal for Manila Digger. Sekou Cisse on the scoreboard just 3 minutes into the contest.
Coach Ronel Hiner, he was talking about it, keeping resolute, especially from the wings. And that's why they needed to be resolute, because Manila Digger, they can just do these to teams. They can just go down the sideline, and they have the physical presence in the penalty box to win those aerial duels. In the end, Psycho Caesar, I don't even think he jumps because he was that free in the penalty box, and he's the top goal scorer from last season. He's probably the last player you want to leave free if you're Philippine Army. But unlike last week, they've been ripped apart right in the opening moments of this match.
And you hate to say it, part of it is self-inflicted from Philippine Army. They gave the ball away inside their own half, allowing Manila Digger an opportunity to keep the pressure on them. Siguro kung i-contrast natin from the previous week, Diego, they hit the ball long quite a bit against Cebu, particularly early on. They did reap the benefits type of approach as they spent a lot more time inside position half than they did in these opening 3 minutes.
I think they'll be especially disappointed at the ease in which they conceded that goal, but they might have a chance here though.
Digger taking charge as John Mar Barsanilla keeps his position. Actually very impressive against Kaya FC Iloilo. Isa sa mga question mark natin yan before the start of that match. He gave a really good account of himself, the former ADT player.
Philippine Army now just need to be a little bit more careful and not get stunned by the fact that they just went behind so easily. It's a shame because it's a complete contrast in the way they started the match against Cebu.
Pressure from Digger. It's going to be an easy foul for that nudge from behind. Dileg Wamba Tafem came on as a substitute last week. So you get the run from the start here against Army.
You can see the pressure being applied by the front line of Manila Digger. I think they just smelled blood.
Easy chance, and it is the second goal for Manila Digger. Modu Mane handed a gift. He certainly had open arms to accept. Army gifting possession to Manila Digger. It's not a side that you can be open with. Manila Digger extremely deadly, and they've scored 2 in just around 5 minutes. Incredible.
Well, it took Cebu around 70 minutes to score 2 against Philippine Army. It's taken Manila Digger just 5 minutes, and I think it's going to be painful because it was also a self-inflicted goal, because they gave the ball away trying to play out against the intense pressure of this Manila Digger side, and the same is continuing to happen here.
The outlet pass is cut out. Extra touch taken. And Army again dispossessed just outside their own box. Nice little drop of the shoulder from Kenji Nishioka. Lets it run across his body. He's got plenty to aim at. Making the pressure pay here. On the Tafem, lets it run. Barsanilla in support. That's going to be a foul on the right back. Came in a little late against Mark Linden de Guzman.
I think it's going to be a really tough proposition now for the coaching staff of Philippine Army, because their game plan, which was to keep things tight and slow the game down to their liking, it's gone out of the window completely, because at 2-0 down, you have no choice but to chase the game, to throw more bodies forward. And that's the last thing you probably want to do against a Manila Digger team who can counter you with some real pace. So out of nowhere, the game plan of Philippine Army is out of the window, and they need to improvise, and that's not ideal just after 7 minutes of play.
Meanwhile, for Manila Digger, it's all systems go. Look to keep the pressure on Philippine Army, as you never know what a part goal difference might play in this extremely tight race at the moment. First round showing that there are going to be quite a few contenders for the title this season. Kaya have been knocked off their perch momentarily. One to gig at the top of the standings right now. Cebu in the mix, Manila Digger in the mix as well. It's proven to be a very exciting season, this 2025-26 PFL.
Yeah, and what's exciting is that we've had 3 or 4 teams already have spells at the top of the table, and Manila Digger really putting themselves in a good position to end the calendar year. Of course, just 1 point off the title last season. They'll be feeling that they were hard done by, and they'll be feeling also that this season it's finally time for them to win that PFL championship.
Speaking of Basliu, quite recently, he talked about the immense pressure that they were under in their previous season. Of course, they fell just shy of their goals, a point away in the league, then fell short against Cebu in the final series. This time around, he feels the team has grown in confidence, and they have another opportunity here. Chance to make it 3 for Manila Digger. You're seeing a degree of maturity in their development, which they feel is going to be crucial as things develop here this season. I think they have the tools at the moment, as well as the character and the know-how to get things done. Of course, only time will tell, but Manila Digger showing plenty of signs of what they're capable of. Just beyond Cisse. Ball still in play. Gonna get another crack at it. Safely into the hands of Carl Viray.
Well, Psycho Cisse is really eager to get a lot of goals today because he was the top goal scorer last season. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't hold that record at the moment in this PFL season. The record is currently with Finn McDaniel of Stallion, but he'll be feeling that he wants to defend his golden boot, and he'll definitely continue to get chances because that was another big chance for Manila Digger to get another Philippine Army being at the possession of Philippine Army. That was a late challenge there.
Wow. Yellow card being given here. That was an extremely late one. Nalayo na ng bola kay Kenji Nishioka. So we take a look at the results here for Army. Still winless, pointless, in fact, in this first round. As we mentioned, a bit encouraging of a result against Cebu as it was 5-0. When you look back at that, it was a close game for a majority of that contest until things got away from them at the end. Of course, they also got a goal against Maharlika, but still, it's been a season so far to forget for Philippine Army. It's been rough goings so far for Coach Ronel Hiner.
It's also not ideal now because after just 10 minutes, you have a player on a yellow card and he's going to have to play this defensive role with a yellow card for the rest of this match. The last thing you want if you're Philippine Army is to go down to 10 men, because that would make things from bad to worse at the moment.
So confirmation of that yellow card for John Celis. Actually a player to watch today. He's made his contribution not exactly in a positive manner. Came very close to scoring against Cebu. Talented player, but he's given it away there. This season he's operating in a somewhat unfamiliar position for fans of the league, as he is occupying a more central role for Coach Ronel Hiner. Used to be a mainstay out on the wings. A stint with JPV at one point. And as you mentioned, Diego came close to scoring in their last outing.
But he's also, I think I'm noticing that the way they created that chance against Cebu, they made it so direct. They just played in behind and timed their runs well. This time they're just shooting themselves in the foot with their possession because they're trying to do a bit too much in terms of build-up. When against Cebu, you were seeing they just kept it at a limit of maybe 2 to 3 passes before going direct. This time, they're constantly giving it away here.
Going for it, Viray forced into his first save of the game. Ariola, he's got room to run, but no numbers in support. Steps on the brakes. Foul called on Kenji Nishioka. Jimuel Ariola doing what he does best. That's trying to exploit the space in behind. He doesn't get too many opportunities to attack Jimuel Ariola, given how limited access Philippine Army have to the ball. But when he does get an opportunity, he is very threatening on the counter.
Ariola, he also has the lone goal of Philippine Army this season, the one that came against Maharlika. It was actually a really good goal, a volley that found itself in the bottom corner. But at the moment, I think Philippine Army just need to help him a little bit because he is quite isolated whenever he finds himself up against 2 or 3 defenders from the other side. He'll need a little bit more help if he's going to build something for Philippine Army.
Meanwhile, Digger on the same wavelength on that occasion. You can see Psycho Cisse is a man on a mission today. Desperate to be building confidence and a bit of momentum, putting the ball in the back of the net. He's still been effective as the main man, as the linchpin of their attack. However, the goals have been rather elusive so far. Wamba Tapfem. They don't have the numbers. Perhaps a little too exuberant there, the Cameroonian. Could be an opportunity here for Army. Flag has stayed down. Nardo gets it to Ariola. Probing here. It's good intention, actually. Joshua Gatinao just not anticipating that ball to be sent his way. As we take a look at the results of Manila Digger, again undefeated so far in round 1.
I think that was actually better from Philippine Army. They just entered the final third, maybe for the first time in this match. But you could just see when they go direct and when they go in behind, they have the option to play Ariola. He times his runs well. He also played in Roynick Bernardo in behind Felonco, who, let's remember, is a really good player, but not an out-and-out left back. So if you're one of the wing players of Philippine Army, he could be one of your targets offensively. But that was a decent spell of play. That's the best we've seen from Philippine Army, in fact, in this matchup. Because for the opening few minutes or so, we just saw Manila Digger dictate things completely.
Trying to slide it through. Long-range effort is going to go off target. Babakar Toure trying to get himself involved in the scoring.
By the way, Babakar Toure, what a goal he scored last week against Kaya. He just blitzed down the right-hand side and shot it into the roof of the net. He is also one of the extremely dangerous players you have to watch out for if you're Philippine Army. Just notice a small tactical tweak here in the opening 16 minutes or so, but Roynick Bernardo, who's the right winger of Philippine Army, is going and dropping really deep when Manila Digger have the ball, just to help out his defend Troy Limbo, who's a problematic player to defend against.
Barsanilla just standing him up. Takes that ball away. They've got room on the opposite flank. Limbo running into it. It's 1-on-1. It's Toure involved. Chance opening up. Toure gets it to Cisse, who's offside. He's disappointed there. Thought he had another easy one.
Again, if you're Philippine Army, that's another instance where a cross was played in so easily and just found Cisse, who was offside. But the Philippine Army defense looked like they weren't to know that. And if they're not careful down that left-hand side especially, you're going to concede more, especially if you're going to keep allowing space for a player like Troy Limbo, who is, I believe he's the player we've marked to watch also for Manila Digger. What a player in the PFL. He is so dangerous on either flank, and he's showing it here again today.
The idea from Coach Ronel Henner was to stop the crosses. So far, that's been proving difficult. Cisse now, he's got room to run. Trying to cut inside, he's got plenty of support. Toure looking for the 1-2. It's well stopped, but it's fallen to Wamba Tafem, who pulls the trigger off the upright and out.
Well, it looks like all the attackers of Manila Digger, they want a piece of the action, which is a complete contrast really to Philippine Army, whose attack is being spearheaded by Ariola, and it looks at times like Ariola only. Meanwhile, Manila Digger, there's 6 players flooding the penalty Philippine Army, and it's just a bit too much to handle for Philippine Army.
2 goals up. There's a real enthusiasm for the players to get involved in the final up to the end. Gonna switch it.
Still think Philippine have recovered a little bit of the opening 5 minutes or so. But again, it's these types of scenarios the ball away, trying to do much in build-up.
Limbo now, plenty of room. Fakes the cross, goes left-footed. Chance here off the crossbar. It's a great delivery from Troy Limbo. Twice now they've struck woodwork. They've done it in quick succession. Again, acres of space for Troy Limbo. He's looking for Wamba Tafem. Trigger pulled from the outside, and that's going to go wayward.
Well, Manila Digger, they've had a lot of warnings already in these opening 20 minutes that if you give space down the flanks, especially to a player like Troy Limbo, you're going to get punished with his crosses. Left foot, right foot, Troy Limbo can do both, and that's a testament also to his quality. He's ambidextrous in that sense. And Philippine Army just need to be more wary of the type of space they're affording their opponents.
Finally, a decision from Carl Viray to sub. He's going to go long here. Relatively long. Cisse look hurl it. Again, target. Not the best goal kick from Carl Viray, as that one sent straight back in his direction. But you wonder if that is a better approach for them, to try to go long, bypass their own third with these short passes. They've gone back to it here.
With better goal kicks, probably it's a better way and a better avenue to proceed up the pitch. But you're not going to help yourself if either your goal kicks are short or if you go short from the goal kick itself, because stuff like this will continue to happen.
Slight push from behind. Troy Limbo, Philippine Army for wanting to stick to trying to play back. It's the trend these days in modern football. They have more than good for them in these opening 21 minutes.
Yeah, and I think what might be especially stranger about that is because against Cebu, they very clearly saw that their game plan was to go a bit more direct, go and bypass the press, over the press with long goal kicks. But for the opening parts of this match, it's been a bit of a mix-up in terms of how they're going to approach their build-up. And I think because of that, I think that's also where the second goal of Manila Digger came exactly from. The high pressure was just too much for them to deal with. Second goal, so it's not helping them at the moment.
This is football these days, and how to approach a match. Aesthetically, people choose seem to lean towards. Playing out the back, short passes, dominating. Chance here. That one. Daniel Ashley going wayward. The Digger guilty of just being a bit too gung-ho with their opportunities. Lacking a bit of accuracy at the moment.
Philippine Army have gone short again. And Manila Digger are going to accept that invitation all day. Because it's just an invitation to attract and lure pressure. And the pressure, once again, from Manila Digger is going to pay off.
And of course, there's the argument of the risk and reward. So far, it's been all risk, very little reward for Philippine Army on this style of play. He's taking a touch, it looks like, on Nishioka. Football has a bit more data-driven these days, and a statistic that has become a bit more prominent is passes completed. Army getting a lot of passes inside their own half before they give it away, but they're certainly not traveling towards the opposition goal all that much.
Well, the goalkeeper of Manila Digger, Nelson Gasic, has been a complete bystander in these opening 25 minutes. I don't think he's actually touched the ball, or if he has, it hasn't been from any dangerous attacks from Philippine Army. And I think that's just a testament also that Philippine Army need to change things if they want to get on the score sheet.
It's a rare sighting of Nelson Gasic as well. Sometimes since we've seen him in the PFL. Chance here for Wambatafem. That one wide. There was a crucial intervention right before he could pull the trigger. Breaks past the mark.
It was a really good chance from Manila Digger. Excellent combination play from the front line once again. Sise, Wambatafem in the middle of it. Actually, Manila Digger might be feeling that they should be more than 2-0 up at the moment. Of course, they hit the woodwork twice, and that was another big chance there. Bit of a collision actually between a few players, but nothing called by the referee. Again, a lot of space for the Manila Digger front line to exploit, and you just feel that if they're going to be continuing forwarded that bit space by Philippine Army, scoreline could increase sooner rather than later.
Quite interesting sequence actually, as there was contact to Wambatafem before he could pull the trigger. I wonder if there was a potential penalty there for them. As we take a look at the goals, cross to Seiko Sise on a plate nicely by Barsanilla, and this one fell kindly for Modu Mane to turn in. Case poor sequence of passing from Philippine Army. Napakagandang regalo para sa Manila Digger. And it's a bit of a mountain to climb for Philippine Army. Yes, you could say it's just 2 goals, but Philippine Army over the course of this first round has scored only 1 goal, so scoring 2 in 1 game would be a real test for them. At this point, the focus for them is to just get their foot back into the game. And for Manila Digger, they're going to feel 2-0 is actually a bit of a disappointment. They've had plenty of chances since then, including 2 that has hit the bar. Off the crossbar, 1 on the upright. You can feel there are definitely more goals in this for them.
And if you're Philippine Army, if you're Coach Ronel Henner especially, the risk you get when trying to build up the way that they're doing it is because when you spread your players wide for the build-up phase of your game, it means that because your players are stretched out while you're building up, the moment you lose the ball, there are so many holes for Manila Digger to poke at within a few seconds. I think someone said, I think it was Ralph Ragnar, who said that when you lose the ball, you're most susceptible to dangerous moments from the other team. And that's what's happening to Philippine Army at the moment, because when they're building up and whenever they do lose the ball, the next 5 or 6 seconds, Manila Digger can just pounce on the space that's being afforded to them.
Great pass, threading that needle into Toure.
I think that was a good pass, as you said, from Nishioka. A bit of a renewed role actually for Nishioka. He is a midfielder, but usually plays as one of the more advanced midfielders. This time he's gonna play as the deepest midfielder, but again, he's getting a lot of the ball because of the nature of this game, and that was actually a really good pass, I must say, from the Philippine-Japanese player, who, by the way, does hold a Philippine passport as far as I'm aware. So there have been 1 or 2 calls I've seen online for him to become a new member of our national team.
Born in Quezon City, so that's what's been reported. I've overheard him speaking pretty good Filipino, actually, as we take a look at Coach Basliu has transformed this Manila Digger side to a team that was green and new, and to becoming a real contender in this league. I must say, kudos to the man. But Basliu not going to be involved today because of that red card that he got against Kaya. He's spoken a little bit about the development of the team and the evolution of this side, particularly since they've come back from Cambodia after participating in continental competition. He's seen a next level being taken. He feels this version of the squad is going to be a real threat to the title. Limbo. Toure assessing his options. Mane. Back to Toure! It's a great move, just couldn't find the target.
That would have broken the net had it gone in from Toure. But what's impressive about that was the connection you saw between the two players. Toure playing that pass to Mane, and Mane, without even looking, flicking that ball to where he knew Toure was going to run into. The shot had a lot of power. If it had the same amount of direction, it would have flown in to top bins. I think they're having a little bit of fun now, Manila Digger, in expressing themselves in this attack. They want to get more goals though.
So much talent on display from this side of Manila Digger, but how big of a factor do you reckon it is that Mane, Toure, Cisse, they all come from the same place in the Gambia? Does that help with their chemistry at all, you reckon, Diego?
I'm sure it is, speaking the same language, having the same type of background, it just makes that connection a little bit deeper. And clearly, you can see it by the way they're combining on the pitch. There is a chemistry there that's deeper. And that's probably formed by the fact that they are really close to each other because of their background. And here they are again. But just as I was on that, I remember seeing that when Manila Digger first came to the PFL, that they had a lot of contingent. They have a large contingent of players from the Gambia. And I remember even Tom St. Feet speaking to some of them, saying that he was scouting some of them at one point in his career. That's how highly talented they are.
Toure's entry pass denied. Cleared away by the captain. Philippine Army may have conceded too early, but they've managed to keep it scoreless for quite some time now. Deep delivery from Nishioka. And that header straight into the hands of Carl Viray, who's looking to play quickly. A hopeful outlet from Viray.
You know, that was a big chance actually, because Manila Digger, they committed everyone forward. They didn't have anyone behind their halfway line, so a better throw could have caused something for Philippine Army.
For the exchange at the edge of the box. Awkward for Jordan Jarvis to deal with. Ashley.
In a way, it is a really big privilege actually to have a player like Jordan Jarvis in your squad.
Chance here for Cisse. First touch was just a bit too strong.
What about that pass actually to find Psycho Cisse? That was a really good pass. But just as I was saying, the depth of Manila Digger this season, to have a player like Jordan Jarvis who played for, I believe, played UCFC at one point across the PFL. He's not starting every week, and you can see the quality he has as a center back. That's how highly regarded he is in the PFL. But every week, such is the quality of Manila Digger that they can rotate and still have a really high level in their lineup whenever they make those rotations, which they have to do a lot of because they have a lot of games also this season. In March, they'll continue their Challenge League campaign. I believe it's a home and away format as well, so they have more international football, which is good for them, even though they are actually a really young club. And I think some people forget that.
They look like a seasoned team. When you look back to their performance against Kaya FC Iloilo, mukhang hinog eh. Itong kupunan ni Coach Kim Versales. So, madaling maisip that this is a veteran side, the likes of Stallion and Kaya. But it's crazy to think it's just been, what, 3 years since they've been brought into life. High boot there, but looked like he got all ball today.
Just speaking about Manila Digger, they're actually a really young squad. When you look at them, you see the likes of Nishioka, who's 24, I believe. A lot of their Gambian contingents also really young. People might not know that. They also have the likes of Schaffner on the bench. It's a really, really young squad, which means that if they keep together for the next few years or so, they could really build something.
You look at the rapid progress that they've made, Diego. What has allowed them to skip the line? Because there are teams that have been seemingly on the road of progress or in development, but they seem to have skipped the line and have made themselves contenders very quickly.
I think a lot of PFL experience being signed also. So they have a young squad, but they also complement that. For example, you see the likes of Clarino, you see the likes of Schaffner, who's young but has a lot of PFL experience. It's those types of signings that just make a young squad be complemented by experience. Obviously, Shermar Felonco, you also have that type of experience. He's been around the PFL for some time now. He's really showing his level of knowledge at the moment.
Contact from behind, just outside the box. Is that going to be another booking? Referee Jesus Abogado keeping the card in his pocket. One thing that has been refreshing as well is the support of Manila Digger. It's been growing. That match against Kaya, talagang medyo pro Manila Digger ang Rizal Memorial Stadium. It did get very lively here in Manila. That foul happening just outside the box, which will allow for Kenji Nishioka or Saiku Cisse to get a crack at goal. Cisse relinquishes. Will allow Kenji Nishioka the opportunity. Nishioka hoping to remeasure this wall. He's saying, you took 10 steps earlier, but these guys have closed the distance. And he's absolutely correct.
Smart player is Nishioka.
Nasusukat ng matay. Kenji Nishioka. He's got a great chance here. Just needs to find the target. Went low. Second opportunity. Oh, he's going to be offside there, Cisse.
Nishioka just trying to outsmart the wall, trying to go under. Then the wall didn't jump. But speaking on that foul, actually, Jake, it came from another scenario where Army were just overwhelmed with the 5 players that Manila Digger send up every time they have an attack. It was 5-on-5 for a second, and that's why the foul was caused. So they have this tendency, Manila Digger, to win back the ball and go so direct towards the opposition penalty box. It's a simple game plan, but we're seeing it this PFL. It's a really effective game plan as well.
Spread out wide. Into the box it goes, and Cisse, unable to sort out his feet in time. He took a slight deflection off of Sai Villaseñor that changed the trajectory of that ball. Limbo has moved out to the right side. Toure. That's going to be a goal kick.
Well, on another day, Psycho Cisse probably already has a hat trick in this first half. He's had a lot of chances. I think he was surprised actually that the ball got to him in that last play. But again, if you're Philippine Army, you're leaving him one-on-one against a center back. It is really risky because he is a type of player to win those duels that you don't expect players to usually win. And that's why Psycho Cisse scored 16 goals last season. That's why he was the top scorer and will definitely be in the Golden Boot race again this season.
Ariola unable to take control. Switching it to Wamba Tafem. Gets it in on his right foot. Toure. Rather, that's Mane. Tafem's attempt is well wide.
Well, how many chances are Philippine Army going to concede before they concede yet another goal? Because for Philippine Army, you're ahead 2-0 going to the halftime break. But if you probably look at your conversion rate, that's a lot of chances that they could have taken to have a better lead.
Nishioka fouled. Ryan Anthony De Sena, the guilty party.
This time, Psycho Cisse, it's his turn now. Of course, he walked away from the last free kick, just saying that it's now his chance to do it. It's a bit farther out, but with the ball striking capabilities of Psycho Cisse, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets this on target. It looks like he's shaping up for a shot, in fact.
He's going to need something special from way out here. Psycho Cisse lining it up. Six prowling at the edge of the area for Manila Digger. Daniel Ashley could be an option, actually. Everybody up for Manila Digger. Nobody has stayed behind. Cisse goes for it. Vinay with a stop. Army almost giving it away. Go long, and they do. Filonco and Ashley expertly dealing with the danger.
Filonco in this game, he just plays like he's in cruise control. You can see he's not troubled by all the things that come his way. He had to deal with that bouncing ball, and he dealt with it so easily against the onrushing Army attackers. I think that's a testament also to his wisdom and composure that will naturally come with experience. And he has a lot of experience, by the way. And it's no surprise also that he's the captain for this team.
Cisse, touch it around Villaseñor. He's a bit too crafty for that. Villaseñor made a reputation for himself as a right back. He deployed centrally here for Philippine Army, but he's seen a lot as well in the Philippines Football League. By the way, FIFA Futsal Women's World Cup still ongoing. Campaign in the Philippines might be finished, but there's still a lot of excitement to enjoy. Encourage everybody to check out FIFA.com/tickets to catch the matches as they head into the next round. PFL Sports Arena, of course, the venue for all the action. Of course, Sports Drive, the official ball of the Philippines Football League. Being knocked around nicely here. Wamba Top Fem's going to want that one back. Might come up here later on, ask for that footage to be erased, Diego.
Just notice that Philippine Army, they're, in order to deal with the front five of Manila Digger, they actually, I think it's Roy-Nick Bernardo or one of the right wingers, they drop back, become almost like a fullback, just so that they're not overwhelmed like they were in the opening minutes of the wave of Philippine Army, or Manila Digger players rather, that come forward whenever they have chances. I think if Philippine Army get to halftime break at 2-0 down, it's not the end of the world. It's not ideal because, you know, if you stay a bit more focused in those opening 5 minutes and then keep the same level of focus that we've seen in the past maybe 10 minutes or so, you know, they could have gone into the halftime break with the scoreline closer. In the end, it's going to be 2-0 and a chance here, actually.
And that'll be 3. Wamba Top Fem with the tap in. As that one really put on a plate for him. Just as you were saying, they would have been generally pleased, Philippine Army, that they could go through just with 2 goals behind, but Saiko Cisse, look at that defense splitting pass. Cisse doing the right thing, putting it on a plate. This time, no mistake from Delane Wamba Tafem. 3-0 to Manila Digger.
That was a really good time to get your 3rd goal if you're Manila Digger, because that's just gonna knock the stuffing out of Philippine Army going into the halftime break. And shout out also to Saiko Cisse, who's, you probably know that he's chasing more goals in this match, but he was unselfish there. And usually a goal scorer, turn provider there for Wamba Tafem, and it's now 3-0. What about that pass though? They might get more here actually.
Stopped by Viray. Wamba Tafem with a 2nd off the rebound. What looked like a respectable scoreline heading into the break has been opened up in a big way. As we take a look at this quad vision replay. Two goals from Wamba Tafem.
It was a moment of deja vu actually, because it was Saiko Cisse played in behind, and this time it's a shot that he takes, but once again Wamba Tafem following up. Really good last 2 to 3 minutes from Cisse and Wamba Tafem, and well, all of a sudden it's 4-0, and that's gonna put this game out of sight for Philippine Army. It's halftime now.
Wamba Tafem not gonna score many easier goals than that in his career. 2 early goals, 2 late goals. The story in this match, as Manila Digger will head into the break rather pleased to be 4 goals ahead. Meanwhile, for Philippine Army, another tough go at the office. As the goals continue to be difficult to find for them. but they are piling up here on their end. 3rd minute goal, 5th minute goal, and then 2 goals in added time. That is the story so far as Philippine Army continue to be scoreless while Manila Digger enter the break with 4. Halftime at the Rizal Memorial Football Stadium, where Manila Digger are in the lead, in charge, in command against Philippine Army. They're up by 4 after 45. They're going to be looking to add to that tally when the second half kicks off. What has gone so well here for Manila Digger, Diego, and what are they going to be looking forward to in the second half?
Yeah, the intensity from Manila Digger has been really good. Their high pressure has just overwhelmed Philippine Army. And whenever they win back the ball, within a few seconds, they're creating chances like that from Saiku Sise, who barely had to move and headed it into the back of the net. Here's the second goal. Again, high pressure, and they win back the ball, and within 5 seconds, it's 2-0. That's the type of stuff and chances that Manila Digger have taken in this first half. It's quite simple, actually. They've been given the invitation to press, and a team like Manila Digger are going to press you to death, and they've done that in the first half. That's why they've scored 4 goals also, and the movement also of Sise and Wambata Fem in particular, they've combined for 2 goals. To be specific, that was the 3rd and 4th goal. Just been too much to handle for Philippine Army.
Meanwhile, for Philippine Army, I suppose it's not an unusual position to be in, but look at this. 32% possession for them. No shots, obviously none on target. They've committed 6 fouls, 1 yellow card courtesy of John Celis. And in the opposite direction, 19 shots for Manila Digger, only 10 of them on target and 4 goals. Perhaps you could say Manila Digger could be even a little bit disappointed that they haven't put more on the board.
They actually hit the post as well twice. And other than that, they had so many big chances in that first half. I think eventually they'll be happy with the fact that they went into the halftime break with 4 goals. Could have been a lot more, and you imagine if we get more of the same in this second half, that it could be another big scoreline in or after the 90 minutes is done. And we're actually seeing 2 changes. It's going to be Toure and Wambata Fem off, so no hat-trick for Wambata Fem, but nonetheless, it's Yuga Watanabe and Su Diao to come on. Yuga Watanabe, of course, scoring that screamer of an equalizer against Stallion earlier in the season. And I think that match was the closest they've come to losing, actually. But they have this character, especially in big games, not to give up so easily and to claw themselves back into those big games, which they've won also against Kaya and Wantigig. That's such a good campaign so far for Manila Digger.
Some usual substitutions for Coach Ronel Hiner as well, as he brings on Renz Gumban as well as Boogie Margarse into the mix. Philippine Army 4 behind. What has gone wrong for them in this performance, Diego, and what are they going to be looking to do here in the second half?
I think what they might be most disappointed in is the 4 goals both came in 2-minute windows of each other. So the first 2 goals came in the opening 5 minutes, and then the last 2 goals came in extra time of the first half. And it's the fact that they lapse in concentration and they do it to a level that makes them so open to attack for Manila Digger. It's a really, really brutal way to concede 4 goals in that sense. But when you look at the way they played against Cebu last week, we keep mentioning it, but they kept things tight. It was only 2-0 after 70 minutes, and they kept it close for the most of that match. That's gone completely out the window in this match, which is a shame because we thought that maybe that performance against Cebu could have been something to build upon on.
If you're Coach Ronel Hiner, what do you tweak in the approach?
Well, Margarsa is on, so he is one of those players that could get on the ball more of. I think that's also a sign, though, that they're going to continue to play out from the back, play on the ground, which they do here from a goal kick. And that type of invitation to press, Manila Digger is never going to turn down. And you just see the physicality and intensity. It's only with Manila Digger, and that's why they win back the ball every time Philippine Army try to build up in the way that they're trying to do so.
See how things change with a change in personnel. If the approach will be tweaked as well for Philippine Army. For Manila Digger, you'd imagine that the approach will be similar and the intention will be the same, to try to get as many goals as possible. Watanabe. Nishioka. Get it out wide. Limbo. That's into the hands of the goalkeeper.
Again, that was a chance to throw and start an attack for Philippine Army. Not taken. And again, they're going to invite this pressure from Manila Digger. And it just means that every time they miss the opportunity to go on a transitionary attack, that Manila Digger have also gotten more numbers back. And I think that's going to be a problem if you're going to try to build attacks if you're Philippine Army. You have to do it quickly. You have to do it within a few seconds. You can't delay your attacks because Manila Digger will settle. You need to do it where they're a bit caught off guard after sending players forward, which they do a lot of.
This could be an opportunity to venture forward for the men in green. Gonna swing it to Ariola. Filonco anticipating the danger. Margarce now. It's not rushing. Let's see if they can get a better opening. That's a loose touch. Gifted to Nishioka. Got a lot of curl onto that, but still not enough to find Cisse.
Well, again, if you're gonna try to build up against Philippine Army, or against Manila Digger rather, you have to be really careful with the ball in your feet. Because we saw it there, once Manila Digger win back the ball, within a few seconds, you have players flooding the 6-yard box, especially the likes of Cisse. Philippine Army, get out this time. Let's see if they can build from it.
Soft header back, and that's going to be an opportunity here. It is the 5th for Manila Digger. Zaiko Cisse pouncing on the mistake and tucking it in. Simple finish in the end for Zaiko Cisse. That's his 2nd of the match.
Well, his Christmas gifts are coming early because that was a gift to Zaiko Cisse. He's probably the last player you want to give that type of opportunity to. And from that type of scenario, he's not going to miss the target from there. The goalkeeper caught off his line, and Zaiko Cisse just simply lobs it over. On a hat-trick now for this second half, you do imagine if he gets more chances like that, he will bag a hat-trick.
Similar story to the first half, with Manila Digger finding the back of the net early in this second half.
Manila Digger have been so impressive in this PFL season, and they're continuing to bear their fangs to the rest of the league. As things stand, they're going to end 2025 in a really, really strong position going into round 2. Of course, we still have one more round 1 match day, but going into round 2, they are the team to beat at the moment.
Now wide. Cross was a good one from Barsanilla. He's going to get a corner kick from it. And there are 2 disappointing results. Diego, actually draws still against tough opposition. And Coach Bas Liu saying that, you know, there's a lot of new players to their team, 8 new additions. They needed a bit of time to develop that chemistry. They seem to have been able to turn the corner with those dynamics within the squad now. And now we're seeing a much more dangerous Manila Digger than the version that started out this campaign.
I think we also commentated this game together, but the loss...
Is that a shot on target?
I think that's the first save also for Nelson Gasic, and there's actually a small cheer from the crowd because of that save. But it's nice to see also that he is getting some minutes also, because he also has 2 really good goalkeepers in front of him as the third choice goalkeeper. We usually know that third choice goalkeepers don't usually play, but he's been given the trust this afternoon. He'll definitely want that clean sheet.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
Well, as I was saying, Jing, we called it together the one ticket game where Manila Digger won. I think that was their springboard really this season, because since then they've been absolutely incredible. You know, they beat Kaya after, and then they also had that really good Challenge League campaign. They didn't lose also. 2 wins and 1 draw, and that's why they're in the knockout stages of that competition. So they're riding a high at the moment, and you'd imagine that going into round 2, which is a bit of a distance away, but going into round 2, they're gonna ride that high and continue to bring this momentum forward.
We knew they were going to be a challenger this season after being so close in the previous one. But what has been the formula for success here for Manila Digger? What makes them so effective?
You know, quite simply, I really like their athleticism, because you just see, especially their midfield and front line especially, over the course of a few seconds and over the course or space of like 20 to 30 yards, their acceleration and their physicality is so lethal, especially against teams that you'd expect them to be stronger against and faster against, like Philippine Army. You can just see that they can, you know, for lack of a better term, bully teams that they want to. And even against teams like Kaya and Wantegig, you know, the goal they scored against Wantegig, it came from flooring Stephen Hum. That's how much physicality they have.
Into the box it goes, and goodness me, all of the players you'd expect to put that in the back of the net, Saiku Sise might be the first name that you put. He's going to be very disappointed that that one did not end up in the back of the net.
Well, again, it's been a trend, an all too common trend, that when Manila Digger get down the flanks and they find those crosses, they're going to find Sise in the first half, Wambatafem in the middle. It's something that Philippine Army just can't deal with. They haven't found a solution to that puzzle. And you'd imagine it's going to continue to plague Philippine Army.
Watanabe turning on the turbos, trying to get that into the path of Mane. Of course, Manila Digger have played a game less than the other challengers for the title. Had a match postponed due to bad weather a few weeks ago. So they're only played 7 so far. This will be their 8th match. You would expect them to get all. It's the 20 for this season, enough to put them in 2nd place after 8 matches, just behind Wantegig, who themselves have been a real surprise kid this season. Top of the table and with 3 points. Look at that great goal! Oh no! Off the crossbar. Sise can't believe it.
Well, the Manila Digger contingent in the stadium started cheering. The bounce, just killing that lob. It was actually a really similar scenario to the second goal he scored.
Second opportunity in quick succession, and that one has left Sise on the ground. He's in some pain after that. This one denied by the turf. Ganda ng bounce eh. Wow. What should have been the hat trick for Saiku Sise.
It's all smiles from Sise at the moment. It looks like he'll be okay. You imagine that he really wants that golden boot defense, because of course he won it last season. He'll be a contender for sure. You see how he takes those chances. You remember the goal he took against Wantegig where he just chipped it over the goalkeeper. It's a really lethal finisher. Give him chances, he will score a good number of those. He's actually had a lot of chances already in this match. He might feel that a hat trick should have come already earlier in the first half. nevertheless, he's going to continue to get chances, such as this movement.
Mane. Great finish. No! Looked like it was going goalwards already from Su Diao. Cisse wanted to make sure, but he's taking it away. Philippine Army opting to play short. Really sticking to this approach. Margarese should give them a bit more opportunity to succeed in this department. Viray knocks it long. Again, Manila Digger missing out some key players today. No Juf, no Sambu, no Guy, no Clarino, Schaffner, no Taninko. One thing that we've grown accustomed to with Manila Digger is not feeling the absence of some of their key players, such as the squad they've built. A couple players getting involved in some afters. Psycho Cisse trying to defuse the situation. Clear pull on the shoulder from Cisse.
Just as you were talking about it, Jing, the depth of Manila Digger, it's what's allowing them also to push for this PFL title. We're mentioning it, you know, they lose crucial players like Schaffner to injury. And I think there was a stat also that when Schaffner went off injured, at that point of the PFL season, he played the most minutes out of anyone. So the fact that he's been injured for a while now, and they've not, quote-unquote, missed him in that sense because they've still gotten good results, I think that's a really good sign of a team that wants to push for honors, is that they can rotate and still maintain the same level of performance.
And you must say, kudos to their recruitment. The likes of Barsanilla have been big. Taninko. And Schaffner is new to this setup as well, relatively. Oh, would have been a great finish from Su Diao.
What a pass that was to find Su Diao, and he lets it bounce. Times his volley perfectly. It's just the direction from a tight angle, must be said, that couldn't find the top corner. Well, that was a really good chance to make it 6.
Just speaking of their recruitment, again, you have the likes of Nishioka, and wow, what a pass out there. Straight back to Manila Digger. Limbo! Another one of them additions that have drastically improved the side. Troy Limbo. Coach Renel Hiner cutting a rather relaxed figure on the sideline. You wonder what's going through his mind and what is necessary in order to bring Philippine Army back into a competitive status here in the Philippines Football League. Of course, there were a lot of question marks prior to the start of this first round and what you'd get from them. So far, it's been a first round to forget. If you are Philippine Army, Diego, what do you do? How do you turn things around, given the struggles that they've been encountering as of late?
I think they could do with a little bit more clarity in their game plans. You know, in that last goal kick, goalkeeper Viray, he wanted to go long, and then Margarse comes short, and then there's no one near him. So there's a bit of a miscommunication in terms of what they should actually do in specific scenarios in games. You know, you have players that want to go long, then you have players that want to play on the ground and they want to play short. So I just think they need a little bit more clarity in what they want to do in terms of approaches in all their games.
All alone. Diao Unable to pull the trigger, but he still has an opportunity here. He's going to try to dribble it in. Su Diao unable to get a sight of goal.
Well, Su Diao, clearly a fan favorite also of the fan group of Manila Digger. But, you know, if you're Philippine Army, you might just feel that that was a little bit too easy. He just dribbles across the sideline, unchallenged, into a dangerous goal-scoring area. You know, that can't happen if you want to maintain matches against big teams in the PFL. You have to make sure that you're more compact and more intense than that. So we see a foul there, or no foul called by the referee.
And Army can head down the opposite direction. Counter-attack scuppered as they're forced backwards. Touch on. Stop and go. Creating a bit of space, but Kenji Nishioka is there to recover. Digger can relax after the momentary threat from Philippine Army.
To be fair to Kenji Nishio, he's played a really good game at defensive midfield. He's shuffled out possession and maintained and contained those attacks of Philippine Army. So he's definitely showing a good versatility from him.
Diao felt he was clipped. Advantage being played. It's two little bites from Ryan De Sena that have gone unpunished. Yuga Watanabe. Digger staying patient in this build-up. Army camped just outside their box. Better from Army. Shermar Filonco anticipating the danger.
Filonco again, an out-and-out midfielder being deployed at left back. But again, it's that type of versatility also that adds more value to your squad, because it means that you can just set up differently in all your games, be a little bit more unpredictable.
Modu Mane, out to Filonco. Can he find a teammate? It's a dangerous cross. Limbo. Nishioka keeping possession. Ooh, looking for the sneaky reverse pass. It's a little too sneaky. Cisse appreciating the intention. Great to see the families out and about enjoying the football. Supporters of Manila Digger, and they're going to be quite pleased with the scoreline at the moment. A bit fortunate on the goal kick. Carl Viray found the teammate. Whistle won by Barsanilla. Digger keeping possession. Oof, just beyond the diving header. Cisse still chasing that hat trick.
Well, Su Diao, since his introduction in the halftime break, he's actually had a really good second half. You know, he nearly scored that volley, and he's created that chance for Cisse.
Corner kick for Manila Digger. In swinger. Cisse the target. Another opportunity for Saiku Cisse. He's going to be pleased to have 2 goals to his name, but the conversion rate perhaps you'll see as something to improve upon.
Yeah, definitely, especially given the fact that he's going to be chasing that golden boot defense. Already has a good tally this season, so he's on 8 goals now, I believe, after his brace this afternoon. So that puts him in a good spot coming into the end of round 1, but he is still quite some way behind Finn McDaniel. So he's gonna have to catch up in that regard. But I'm sure also that he'll be really happy with the year he's had overall, 2025. Because for the calendar year, I can say he has been arguably the best striker in the Philippines. He's also made his mark also in that Challenge League campaign, scored there as well. So you do imagine he is attracting a lot of good eyeballs in that regard, because he's really had a really good year. You can imagine that if he continues on this form going into round 2 and eventually round 3, that he could be quite the player in the future.
Army finding room. I think he's going to be offside here. Yes, he is. Even before the contact from Barsanilla. It's a shame as well. They're finding space in behind through Nico Palacio. For Philippine Army, it's 53 goals they've conceded so far. Having scored 1 of their own. Is it a need for improvement in personnel, a change in approach in how they take on these games? What is it for Philippine Army that they're going to need? Especially with quite a break to come before we restart in January.
Yeah, they could do with this break just to make sure they regroup, recover from what's been a really tough round 1. Again, in terms of approach, I think their best blueprint was still that Cebu game. To be specific, that Cebu first half, where they stayed compact. They conceded 1, admittedly, but that came also from a lapse of concentration. And it's really those lapses that are getting at them. But just going on, that first half against Cebu, it really was their best half in the PFL this season. Because again, like we keep mentioning it, but they created 1 or 2 openings against a team that offered them space in behind because the other team is aggressive. And against Philippine Army, you're going to assume that most teams in the PFL are going to be the aggressor. But that means they're going to leave space in behind for counterattacks. And that's going to be Army's best window of opportunity. It's via counterattacks. They're not going to, you know, with all due respect, they're not going to build up and score a goal with maybe 100 passes like you see from Europe. Their best chances come from the fact that, you know, after 2 or 3 passes and the opposition are still a bit too offensive, there's going to be space for them to run into.
Watanabe gets it all the way out wide. Yao now just could not sort out his feet. It's good work to bypass the pressure. Ariola unable to take advantage of that. Straight back to Digger. This time it's Mane who's peeled out wide. Odu Mane trying to get to the end line. Great twist. Beyond Watanabe, and Cisse is offside. Saiku Cisse incensed. Felt there was a player that had kept him on. Be great to be able to see that one again because it was a good finish from Saiku Cisse. Might have had a point. Might have had a point, at least very quickly. Looked like he was onside. It's a close one. Cisse back to Mane. Watanabe Out on the left side. Diao to Cisse! And there it is, the hat trick complete for Saiko Cisse.
Well, after hitting the woodwork earlier on and getting that goal ruled offside, might have felt for a moment that it was never going to come this afternoon. But there you have it. It's his hat trick. And he now is on 9 goals for this season. So it's a really good return so far from Saiko Cisse in this first round. Really good header. The cross also from Su Diao, who's had a really good second half, is perfect. Cisse doesn't have to get a lot of power in this header. The power comes from the cross, so he just needs to flick it goalward. And he heads it into the far corner, and the goalkeeper, Viray, at full stretch, he's not going to reach that. 6-0 to Manila Digger.
A hat trick and an assist as well for Saiko Cisse. It's been an all-around fantastic performance from the front man. 6th goal conceded by Philippine Army.
And how many of those goals, Jing, came from crosses from the flank? You know, if you're Manila Digger, the formula, it's been the same for the whole match. And, you know, if it works, why are you going to change it? A lot of the times, the crosses they play in to the Philippine Army penalty box, it just causes so much chaos for Philippine Army. So much that they're not even able to deal with it anymore. And yeah, you saw it against Cisse with his positioning. Like his first goal, actually, doesn't have to do a lot with that header, because his positioning was already good. So he might get in again here.
Mane trying to put it on a plate. It's really alarming now for Philippine Army. They've conceded 5 or more goals in 7 games in this first round. Certainly a need for change heading into the second round. We talked about recruitment, we talked about their approach. Both can be amended as the transfer window does open as we head into 2026. There are some saying that, you know, other teams have an advantage as they're able to utilize foreign recruits. Does Philippine Army need to rethink their policy? Of course, this is all enlisted men that are representing Philippine Army at the moment. Do you think it's time for a rethink, Diego?
Well, a lot of fans are calling for it when looking at the Philippine football community. But just even before that, I think they could do with this break, because, you know, every match they're going into each match with they might have a chance here, actually.
Opportunity denied by Jordan Jarvis. But he's been looking lively, Nico Palacio. Certainly adding a bit more pace in behind, and Margarce there able to spot the run. And that's a great tackle. Important one to deny Modu Mane, who was looking ahead downstream.
But just as I was saying, Jing, Philippine Army, of course, they have that policy. That means that their squad across the first team and the bench and the reserves, it's fully homegrown. So they're 1 out of 2 teams in the PFL to have that policy. Chance maybe here, though.
All alone, and it is converted. Kenji Nishioka, he's having a good time. Why not? He hasn't had too many opportunities, Kenji Nishioka, but he's gotten one here. Look at all the room he's got to pick out this goal. Fantastic finish.
Well, he had about an acre of space in that far left side. Good first touch, the finish. He keeps it simple, just gets it on target, first and foremost. And the goalkeeper unable to make that save, and that's going to be another goal for Manila Digger. And again, you might just feel, if you're Philippine Army, that the manner in which they conceded that goal is a bit too easy for Manila Digger to do. You know, Kenji Nishioka is a player that is so dangerous when he has the ball. But he had so much space down that far side. So much space that, you know, he could even take a relatively poor first touch. It went backwards, and he still got to his second touch and tucked it away. But that was a good finish nonetheless. from the midfielder. You know, he played as a defensive midfielder for most of this match, but he got in on the act.
Substitutions now for Manila Digger. We're going to shuffle the pack here. They brought on Elias Ugu as well as Darwin Regala.
Another substitution for Manila TFC. Player number 98, David Limbo, replaced by player number 18, Darwin Regala.
Limbo giving way. Just looking to switch things up. Get some important minutes for some of the players. Looks like we're going to see another substitution momentarily as well from Manila Digger. But Army have also shuffled the pack themselves.
I think what a lot of people also might forget about Philippine Army is they actually have a really rich history in the Philippine Football League and Philippine football in general. You know, it wasn't always that they would go into matches not the favorite, you know, because they had that history in Philippine football. They just seems to have been forgotten by most fans. But yeah, they have that capability, or they had that capability rather, to really make themselves a team to fear in Philippine football. Some fans will remember that, of course.
Alongside Philippine Air Force, two of the top teams in the top tier of Philippines football. And had gone up against teams with plenty of foreigners as well. Somehow, somewhere along the way, seem to have lost that togetherness and that that spirit that made him so difficult to take on. Ball over the top. Cisse, what a finish! A fourth from Psycho Cisse, and it's a beauty from the front man.
Well, he started the season, or the game of the day rather, on 6 goals. It's now on 10, which is a really good return, and he's catching up in that golden boot race. But look at that first touch, and the second one is even better from Psycho Cisse. And I think that was his last kick off the ball, so what a way to end his afternoon and his calendar year. So that was a really good 2025 from Psycho Cisse. What a player we have here in the PFL.
Incredible last contribution, and he's brought off for Shuo Sha. He's going to get 10 minutes up front for Manila Digger.
Substitution for Philippine RTFC. Player number 19, Martin Dennisman, replaced with player number 10, Joe Marcelo. Another substitution for Philippine Army. Player number 27, Jumel Ariola, replaced by player number 14, John Martin Naspe.
Chance here for Diao. Naspe has also checked into the game for Jimwer Ariola. Offside is Watanabe.
The floodgates have opened now in the second half for Manila Digger. You imagine that they want to bolster their goal difference. I think you mentioned it earlier, Jing, that goal difference, probably not now, but at some point in this season, probably the third round to be specific, it could become a tiebreaker down the road. So you see these a lot of the teams in the PFL, they want to score as many goals as possible.
Ooh. Long range effort testing Nelson Gasik. Forced to stretch. It was actually a good save as Palacio unleashed from way out.
Palacio from way down. Would have taken something special to get a shot in from that range, but he nearly did it. And to be fair to Nelson Gasek, he hasn't had much to do in this match, but he was alert when it mattered, and I'd imagine he really wants this clean sheet.
Manila Digger able to rack up the goals against Tuloy, but they also conceded 2 in that game. That's something they want to avoid in this match. Here comes a corner kick from Boogie Margarse. It's a low one. Not the best delivery from Nestorio Margarse.
I think the delivery had to be better. Had to get it in a more dangerous area, because if you're gonna keep it low like that, it's easy to defend.
Gala. He's found minutes difficult to come by as of late. Gala. Ugu, not in a rush. Watanabe, trying to switch it into the path of Nishioka. And Army back in possession inside their own half. A lot of yellow shirts on top of them, as has been the case throughout this contest. Kept in. Robbed of possession as Shermar Filonco applies the pressure. Watanabe tugged back. He's going to win the whistle. Watanabe providing a lot of good energy on that right side now that he switched flanks. It's a poor pass from Regala. As Digger chase a 9th goal. Four different goal scorers. 4 goals scored by one man in Saiku Sise. Of course, Dylan Wamba Tapfem had 2 in the first half. Modu Mane on the score sheet early on. Kenji Nishioka, the last, or one of the other goal scorers as well.
I think Manila Digger would be really happy with also the fact that, you know, they have a lot of sources when it comes to goals. It's not just Cisse who scores. As you mentioned, 4 different goal scorers today. Also had Toure last week. Ujman Guy getting that 2nd goal against Kaya. So it's a team that has a lot of players who chip in with goals, which is a really powerful weapon to have, because it means that you're unpredictable in all your matches. Because goals can come from just about anywhere, to be completely honest, from this Manila Digger team.
Less than 5 to go in regulation. Manila Digger going to be ending 2025 unbeaten in this season. Ooh. A soft touch there that was going to end up in the hands of Carl Verai. It's going to be a corner kick. So there was no communication between Sai Villasenor and Carl Viray, and it looks like Sai Villasenor has hurt himself in the process.
Well, that tackle from Villasenor could have gone anywhere, actually. From where we were seated, it looked like for a moment it was going to bounce in. And good attacking play from Manila Digger. Again, good involvement from Sudiao, who's had a really good second half. There's no one attacking this from Manila Digger, and goalkeeper in Villasenor just miscommunication. And it's going to give Manila Digger a corner kick.
It looked like it was a lack of communication more than anything. No yellow shirts around them. It's gone out straight from the delivery of Nishioka. Back to the drawing board for Philippine Army. Showed promise against Cebu FC, but this one seemingly a step back. Not a lot of positives that can be found. Undone early and undone with regularity by Manila Digger.
Philippine Army conceding 2 goals in the opening 5 minutes. I think that set the tone for this match today, because since then they haven't shown much going forward other than that one save from Gasik from range. But I can't recall any opportunity that was of high quality from Philippine Army. Wasn't the case against Cebu. That's what happened today. Imagine that they still have a match in round 1 against Tuloy, and that was cancelled because of the typhoon. You'd imagine that that's their biggest chance in the first round to get on the scoreboard in terms of points.
But 15 games to go for Philippine Army. It's a lot of matches to play. They certainly can't keep going down this road. The likes of Nestorio Margarcia, of course, were still around during the heyday of this team. Imagine a player like him be desperate to turn things around. Regala. Support arriving for Manila Digger. Pelonco is well offside. Kapitan ng Manila Digger, Shermar Pelonco. Talked about his experience today. Did a long time at Kaya FC. Played at multiple AFC Cups. Of course, played at this highest level of football in the country for many, many years. 3 minutes to be added on.
There will be a minimum of 3 minutes of additional time.
Definitely less than the 15 that were added on Manila Digger's last match. But again, Manila Digger put themselves as the team to beat. In fact, I think you mentioned it earlier, they're their only team still to be undefeated in the PFL. It's not like they're... But yeah, they're undefeated, and that's a record that, you know, you don't see where it's gonna be ended. That's how good Manila Digger have been this season and this calendar year.
Chance for Philippine Army!
Oh!
Fantastic move. Created the opening for John Art Lunaspe, but he hasn't found the target.
That was their biggest chance of the whole game. Nelson Gasik is really relieved because he's going to keep his clean sheet. It's nutmeg there as well. But in Philippine Army, you know, even a consolation goal could have helped them just raise the spirits a little bit, make the scoreline just slightly more respectable. And they don't get a lot of those chances. So when they do get those types of chances, they have to take them. It has to be converted because they're really scarce.
Digger chasing one last goal. Not pushing too hard at the moment, though. Be happy to see this one out. Up by 8. Last minute of the match to go.
Well, it looks like the rotated backline of Manila Digger are going to keep that clean sheet, which is good for them also. Gives them good minutes in this side, minutes that they might not usually get. What a touch from Nishioka.
Can he get around his man? Oof! Almost the 9th. He's gotten close, Su Diao. Just can't seem to find the back of the net at the moment. Was there a touch? Christian Schaffner there on the technical seats. Ineligible today, alongside Bas Liu rather. It's going to be the final play. Corner kick from Kenji Nishioka. Can they make it count? Nishioka plays it short. He's going to get it right back. And that'll do it. Final whistle blown by Jesus Abogado. It's 8 goals for Manila Digger as they end 2025 unbeaten and with plenty of momentum, taking them into January. It's a clean sheet for Nelson Gasik. Philippine Army absorb yet another defeat. And unfortunately for them, it's another heavy one to add to their tally. That'll do it here for our first of 3 matches at the Rizal Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, perfect performance from Manila Digger. Again, a rotated side. That didn't stop them from scoring 8. 4 for Saiko Sise, 2 for Wambata Fem, 1 for Nishioka and 1 for Mane. And it was a really comprehensive performance from Manila Digger. You know, they attacked and didn't stop. Right from the first whistle, they got their first goal. The 3rd minute, and they just didn't stop. A lot of goals spread out across the whole team, but I'm pretty sure the main man of the match contender is Saiko Sise. But again, a lot of good performances from the likes of Nishioka, also getting on the score sheet, and they now boost themselves into a really good place in the standings for the league. And like they have been doing for the rest of the season, they're sending a really strong message to all the other teams in the PFL.
4 goals scored in the first half, 4 in the second. Job done for Manila Digger. And that'll do it for us here. Still 2 matches to go on this Saturday triple header. My partner Diego Cordero. My name is Jing Hamlang. Thank you for watching. We'll see you for the next one.
Congratulations on the result. What are your thoughts on the game?
My thoughts about the game was we are really ready to fight for the win, and thank God we already get that. And I'm also trying to get back to shape to compete for the Golden Boot again. Yeah.
Okay, another question is a message to the fans.
Let them keep supporting and let them keep believing. We will surely get there, and we will surely make them proud this season. We will bring the trophy to them, inshallah.
Thank you.
You